Here is the new collection of Jelly Roll, the original ink. It has the classic metallic Moonlight, Stardust, and Gold Shadow, Silver Shadow in it. So we're going to open it up and we're going to look at all of these today. And they all perform a little bit differently. We have the 6, 8, and the 10, and they all are slightly different and produce different lines. 10 is the thickest, 8 is next, and then 6 is the least. So these are really good for filling in surfaces, and these ones would be more good for detail work. And this is what the pens look like. So this is the smallest one, and then this is the biggest one. So you can see that it's slightly larger here, and then this one is more pointed than the other two. We're gonna look at that in the video, and we're gonna see which ones are better for different types of paper, like light, dark, which ones glow in the dark. We're gonna do a glow in the dark test. I have enjoyed doing those, so it seems that you guys do too. The Jelly Rolls have been around since the 1980s. They came over from Japan, and I will tell you, I can attest to this, Japan has some of the coolest writing instruments ever, and I'm so glad that they made their way over here. You can use gel pens on lots of different surfaces, and they're really good for detail work. What are some of the cons of gel pens? If they don't come out, it can make for an inconsistent line. They are sometimes really small, so it can hurt your hand if you're filling in large areas. I would recommend like detail work or just writing in general for gel pens, because that way it won't hurt your hand. I did notice that the 10 of the Moonlight was really nice to use, so I would definitely recommend using that. If you want to fill in surfaces, use like the bold ones instead of like the 6, which is made for small detail work. They can easily smudge because they have to take a while to dry. So just make sure, like if you're doing something, let it dry for 5 minutes before you close the page, before you try to do anything over it. I did notice that there was a different number of classics and Moonlight available online than in this box. If you guys are interested, I can delve into that more, but for today, we're just gonna look at what comes in this box. So at first glance, I already kind of looked at these a little bit. They are not like necessarily in the, like this is a Jelly Roll Midnight, this is a Jelly Roll Metallic. So we're gonna have to sort these. So I'm gonna do what I love to do. Just dump everything out. And we're gonna sort all of these and put them away. Well, not really put them away, but just sort them by type. The ones with this right here. Okay, I don't know why they don't come sorted in there, which is odd to me. We'll put them in color order and then we'll go through them all. And we'll count how many of each there are. So now I have them all sorted and we can get to work on the swatch chart. So I'm gonna swatch them all like individually. We're gonna start with the classic ones. This is the classic. It is super good for archival, waterproof, fade resistance. And in this box, it comes in 11 colors. And I like to write Jelly Roll really fun up here. So these are all the classics, and in these we'll find all of the classic colors. I found like it was a little bit lacking, so I feel like there are more colors online that we can find, and it would make the whole collection seem a little bit better. And then we have burgundy. You can see that like sometimes they don't write as well, but I feel like with these ones, especially the Jelly Rolls, the more I wrote with them, sometimes the ink just gets stuck. So I had to like, you know, slightly roll that around a little bit and the ink came out better. But that is one of the cons of gel pens, is that they sometimes do skip a little bit. So if you are gonna use a gel pen, I would recommend using it a little bit before you add any details or you're doing some writing. Use it a little bit over on the side, and especially with some paper or some padding underneath it, because sometimes pens or regular pens just don't like it when it's writing on a hard surface. They like it when there's a little bit under there. And I'm putting this black on so we can see what the white looks like. And it's not super opaque at the beginning, but you can see how I like before it gets better. These are the gold shadow and the silver shadows. And the way that you tell them apart are the gold shadow have like this opaque lid right here, and it's kind of shiny. And then these ones have a clear lid, the silver shadows. And don't confuse them with the Stardust. So the Stardusts are kind of sparkly. And this one has like a star. And then this one has a like shooting star. So that's how you tell the difference between those two. These have shimmery gel ink, both of them. You can use them on bright, porous papers. They are good for highlights. These ones are. There's 5 of each. So there's 5 silver shadows and 5 gold shadows. So the gold shadow and the silver shadow are really nice, as we said, that they can be used for highlights. And everything just has like this touch of gold in it, especially this one. So you can really see the color coming through, like the pink and the lavender. They're a lot more opaque than the classics were above. But that green one, you can still see the green, but you can definitely see the gold. And then we have the gold black coming up here, and they all have a number. So all the pens will have a number. The name is not necessarily on them. If you get this specific pack, there is an insert that we will be coloring later that has all of the different colors and the numbers, and we'll have that swatch chart to have in the box. But if you don't have that, I should make a swatch thing for all of these, so that way if you just have some of these or you don't have all of them and you have the pen, you can at least see the number. These are the metallic. They are archival. They write on dark and light papers, and they have shiny polished colors, and you'll see the cap is very sparkly. And then it says metallic right here, so that's an easy way to tell if it's metallic. And then the cap is a lot more shinier than this one. These come in 14 colors in this set. The metallics are super nice. I like them, but you can see, yep, that one, the metallic pink, it didn't quite come as through as well, but like I said, just use them. The more you use them, it seems the ink gets flowing. So as long as the ink is flowing and it's in, you know, it's like natural state, it'll help out a lot. Yep, see that T had a little bit of issue. So, but you know what? These are some of the best gel pens, I can honestly say. It's so funny. I met the Sakura reps a few years ago, and I was doing a test for all the black pens, and they're like, you know, ours are the best. And I was like, okay, we'll see. Like, I'm going to do a test with rubric, and you guys can check out that video. And I did the test, and the Sakura ones actually ended up being the best. And so I came to him the next year, and he's like, yep, we're the best. Ever since then, it's been a fun friendship that we've had, and I'm so grateful that I was able to see them at NAMTA and all of the things that they have. And this is the first time that I've been able to test them all. These are the Moonlight. It has opaque ink, and this is what this one looks like. So it says Moonlight right here, and then right here is where it designates what size it is. So the 6 is good for fine details, and then 10 would be good for filling in surfaces. It's good for coloring, paint light effects, and in this box it comes in 26 colors. The Moonlights being some of my favorite, especially the Bold 10. I like fell in love with these ones when I was using them. But yeah, so back to like when I was talking to the rep from Sakura, they're just so nice. And I hadn't really tried like all the jelly rolls, and I decided to buy this set because, and see, this is what I'm doing. I'm using it on a separate piece of paper. I'm going back in, and it's a lot better. But I bought this before NAMTA, and this video didn't go live before NAMTA, and I ended up, they gave me a whole bunch of some samples that I could take home and try them and show them to you guys. So I'm super grateful for that. And I love the relationships that I have, that I've met at Creativation NAMTA, because it's so much fun to go back year from year and be like, hey, how's your company doing? What's new? And they're like, how are you doing? And they become people instead of just like random supplies. So you really develop these relationships with these companies, and it's a lot of fun. So I think this year especially, I'm going to try to get into more like what to do with these supplies. So if you guys have things that you especially use like gel pens or markers for, or even like paper crafting, what you want to see more of, let me know. But I really think I'm going to try to do some junk journaling. I've done that before. I love to travel. I love to go to concerts. I don't know what I'm going to do, and I'm very spontaneous, so I don't really have an idea like all the time what I'm going to do, but I really want to get more into that. And I might do like a junk journal of Seattle that I went to Creativation. The thing is, like, you save wrappers and this is that stuff, and I do try to not keep a ton of that stuff around. So I feel like if I do junk journaling, I'll have to make sure that I like do it right away, because I don't want to have a ton of stuff just like in my basement, because it's already full enough as it is. I moved to another room, and it's amazing how like I filled that room up, and I'm like, okay, I can't have all this stuff. I have a bunch of toys in the middle of the room that I have to decide what to do with. And I'm like, these have to go somewhere. Our basement, like things just fill up fast. So anyway, if I do junk journaling, I have to make sure like I do it like within a week or like a month of getting back. And then I throw everything that I didn't use for the junk journaling away. And junk journaling is basically where you save like receipts, you save where you went, you save like boxes or bags of where you went, and you cut them out and you put it like in a little journal. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I really need to do that. So I'm really excited to start it. Right, I want to start right now, but I like have thrown everything away, so I have to like see what I didn't throw away that I can use. But now I'll be more aware of it when I'm traveling. But I want to use especially some of these the Sakura gel pens for that. I think that would be a lot of fun to like make highlights, and I like to kind of copy some of the things, like how I wrote the jelly roll up above. These are the Stardust. You can use them on light or matte paper surfaces, and you can use it for highlighting or special effects. And you'll see the star on this one, and you'll also see that the caps are clear with a little bit of sparkles. The Stardust is super pretty. I like these ones. These ones, we'll see how they work on black paper, but I don't think they did as well on black paper. And they're just a lot of really fun colors, and they have that little bit of sparkle. So like, how are they different than the metallic? Yeah, maybe the Stardust and the metallic are pretty similar when you look at them here, but they have, I feel like the metallic have more of like a black undertone, and these ones don't have as much of a black undertone, and they're just kind of what the colors are. So they don't have that gray black undertone. You can see the marine, you know, some of these, you just have to use it before you write a lot with it. And then I didn't look at the swatch sheet in there, so I didn't necessarily know on the next one coming up what the name was, but I figured it out pretty quick afterwards. So now we're going to see how all of these do on black paper. It's very interesting. We're going to start out again with the classics first. The white always does pretty good on black paper. Actually, Sakura's whites, they come in 3 different sizes, or they could come in more. I don't know, but I know of 6, 8, and 10 for sure. But it always writes on white paper. The other colors, you can tell, are not quite as good. Like that green doesn't really look green. I don't know why I wrote red twice. That purple is hard to see, the royal blue. So definitely the classics besides the white is not really good on black paper. So if you're gonna get one for black paper, get the white, but nothing else. So now next we're gonna try the gold and silver shadows on here. And so I just wrote that in white, and then we're going to try these all on here. So this one is the gold plus pink. And you can see it came out pink, but it's drying gold. And same with the lavender. So I feel like we're seeing, I don't know how they make them necessarily, but a lot of the these shadow ones, they kind of pick up on one aspect of it on white paper and one aspect on the black paper. So you really can't tell the difference between the silver shadows and the gold, shadows on this paper. So if you want a good gold, you can use it on there, but it won't necessarily give that tone that it gave on the white paper, on the black paper. So the next one that we're going to try is the metallic, and these ones look like they're doing okay. Maybe not quite the same colors that they were on white paper. Like that burgundy really looks kind of whitish, and it would probably look more burgundy, but we are getting some differences in color. So what you'll want to do is that if there's a certain color, you don't necessarily look at the name. Like emerald does not look emerald, but you can use that tone, like that green. So green doesn't necessarily look super green. Emerald looks more yellow. So you just adjust it based on what it looks like on that paper. It'll be a little bit different than it is on the white paper. Like that black does not look super black, but you can tell it definitely has some glitter to it. The Moonlight is next, and like I told you, I fell in love with the Moonlights. They were like some of my favorite, and I think these are the ones that they have the most colors in, and I feel like a lot of other people really love the Moonlights, and I had not really tried the Moonlights before. So I had some gel pens growing up. It was a case, and I really wish I had a picture of it so I could see which company it was that I used growing up. But I remember I bought it, I don't know if when I was in high school or college. I had it for a long time, and I would use that thing all the time. I'm surprised it didn't run out of colors, but I think there were so many in this box that it was my first time like buying like a huge box of gel pens. And I wonder if any Sakuras were in there. Like, I really, like, one of those things I'm like, what did I use? Why didn't I keep it? Or like at least have a picture of it so I would know what I used. You know, I like history. But I could see these Moonlights being super favorite. Like, I love this box that I have, and I hope my kids have the same memory now that we have this box at home. My daughter has already kind of like stolen it a little bit, and so she's been using it and she really likes them, and she's like, Mom, these are not waterproof. And I'm like, you know what? I don't think these, like, a lot of the supplies that you use are waterproof. It's just so funny that she was like saying that, because I was like, no, they're not waterproof, so make sure you don't get them on your clothes. But you can see these are coming out really amazing. Like, those grays maybe are coming out a little bit more white than gray, but you, like I said before, you kind of get the color. You see how they will work on that white paper. So the Stardust really did disappoint me on this black paper. I really thought it was going to pick up and it was going to be great. They definitely look better on the white paper. So the Stardust and the Classic are ones that you'll probably want to use for white paper, but these ones, they're okay on the black paper, but they don't really show up that well. We are here in the bathroom to test the glow-in-the-dark capabilities of these jelly rolls. Let's turn on the light. Ooh, a little peek. First off, our Classic orange is definitely glowing. None of the gold shadows. None of the metallic. Whoa, okay, the Moonlight. They are definitely so rose, pastel pink, fluorescent pink, orange, yellow, pale yellow, fluorescent green. They all have a little bit of glowing to them. Do you see that? And then now to the Stardust. I can definitely see the pink star. It's kind of hard to just see it on the screen, but the pink star is glowing, so is the orange star. But nothing else is glowing in there. The Moonlight definitely take the cake, and that one orange over here from the Classic. Here are all our jelly roll colors, which is awesome. So we have our Classic, our gold and silver shadow, and then metallic, Moonlight, and Stardust. And I know I spelled shadow wrong. I am not a great speller. I can definitely see why Moonlight has so many colors available, why it is the most popular. I also really like these ones down here too. They're all super pretty to use. I really don't know, like, if you had all of the Moonlight, if you would need any of the Classic, just because they're so close in colors. And then I like the 10s better than the 6s also. All right, so now we're gonna look at the black colors, the ones on black paper. So I tried to do them like the same order so we could see it kind of. And you'll see that you cannot see the Classics at all. So the Classics kind of don't even look like their colors, like all these reds. They have very faint colors on the page. So I would not use the Classics. That's another reason I probably want to get the Classics, is just because you can't see them on the page. So our gold and silver shadows definitely pick up more on this page. You can see the distinct colors on here. On here, if you're going to use them on black paper, they mostly look silver. Like this one has a little bit of pink, but they're not as defined as they are on this page. Now looking at our metallics, I can definitely see all the metallic colors. They are pretty true to the same colors. So sometimes colors like this right here, this gold and silver shadow, will be different colors on white than they are on black, but this one is pretty similar. These two colors are pretty similar right here. So we can kind of see that they appear the same on the colors. The Moonlight takes the cake on this one. They are probably the truest colors. to what is over here. I can definitely tell all these colors are what they are. Actually, I don't know if I'll say that it takes the cake because metallic is pretty true. So some of these like pale yellows, they appear a little bit different on here, but they're all very distinct, which is kind of what I look for. Like this is not distinct at all. These are all distinct. If you knew what color it was on black paper, you could intentionally use it for whatever you're drawing. Now the Stardust had me a little disappointed. I thought the Stardust was going to show up, especially because Stardust, it's in, you know, stars, kind of you see them in the black night. Like I really thought they would show up on black paper. I thought they would be made for black paper, but no, they weren't. So you can see Stardust very well on white paper. They all look distinct. On here, though, I mean, if you're going to do some kind of like outline with it, with these ones, you could, but I can't really tell the different colors as well. So I was very disappointed with the Stardust on black paper. So what do you guys think? I definitely have the winner as being Moonlight, and then I think Metallic's my second. So if I was only going to pick up 2 sets of jelly rolls, I would definitely pick up the Moonlight and the Metallic. And I don't know about these other ones because I feel like you get a lot of the same with these that you get with those ones. I mean, the Stardust definitely looks different on this paper, and these look different on this paper. So if you're getting for white paper, I would probably get all 3 of these, maybe 4 of those, but not that one. And then if I was getting them for black paper, I would just get the Metallic and the Starlight. If I was going to get these for white paper, I'd probably get these for the gold and silver, Metallic, Moonlight, and Stardust. If I was getting for black paper, I'd probably only get Metallic and Moonlight because they're the ones that show up the best. And then I probably wouldn't worry about Classic because I feel like they're very similar. I mean, there are a few colors, like the purple looks very similar. The brown looks like the yellow ochre, but looks a little bit different. And then the blue looks similar. So they have similar colors, but they don't write on the black paper. So I would really focus my attention on these colors probably, because I think these are really cool, the Moonlight ones. I can see why they make the most colors out of those ones. Now we're going to fill in the back of, well, this is the insert that comes with the gel pens that I had forgotten about. And I was like, oh, I should probably fill this in so I know what all my colors are. Yeah, I should have done this one first so I would know all the color names. And because I was like looking for the color names as I went through, but I sorted them like kind of according to afterwards. And I decided to do little jelly like spirals on these, so it would be a lot of fun. And what I love about this sheet is you get the color name, but you also get the number on there, so you know exactly what it is. I think it's still good to do it on the black paper because then you'll see what it looks like on the black paper. But you can tell that those Classics, even though they're an 8, they just look smaller than the Golden Shadows. So I wonder if the Golden Shadows, they didn't have a number on them, but I'm wondering if they're bold colors. And then we have our metallics that are coming out here. They're super pretty. We saw them already on white paper, but I love putting them all together. I would probably arrange these colors a little bit different. So I think I am going to do another video where I have a swatch chart that I've made that you guys can download, and that way you guys can put it in, because I like how I arrange my swatch charts sometimes a little bit better. But yeah, it doesn't, like, this is not as aesthetically pleasing to me as I would think like that my swatch charts are, because I love having my swatch charts like in a rainbow, so I can easily tell what colors are there and what colors I'm missing. And when I'm looking here, I'm like, oh, am I missing like the classics? I know that I'm missing a yellow for sure. There's not a yellow in there, but like what other colors am I missing like in that spectrum? So it's nice to have them in color order to easily be able to tell what colors I'm missing. But it's still, this will be a great insert to have in the box. I already used it when I did some coloring later that you guys will see. So it was nice to know what colors were in there. This coloring book is, I don't know how to say it. Is it Wow? We? Or something? Color by Sarah Hurley. Color and Create Inspiration. All right, so we're going to start by just doing a couple butterflies. So we're going to go to the back and here we go.
All right, so blue is number 436. And then we're going to do green, which is 429. Then I want to have like a, ooh, should I have a pink and a purple one? Or a pastel pink and a purple. Ooh, I like the pastel pink. So let's see. Here's my pastel pink, and where's my purple at? Here's my purple.
Here I am. I'm going to color some of these butterflies. I picked a blue and green palette for this one. I'm going to try to do a little bit, well, I think I'm just coloring them straight. Just use them straight on here, on these ridges right here on the butterfly. And then below, I'm going to try to do a little bit of blending. And blending is, these are the 10s. So blending I found is a lot easier with the 10s than it is necessarily with like the 8s and the 6s. You can get in and the ink stays, for better or worse, it stays wet for longer. So if it stays wet for longer, it's going to smudge easier. But if it stays wet longer, then you can blend it a little bit better. So you have like, you know, pros and cons of it. But I really liked that butterfly down there with all the ink. And then I'm just going to finish this up on here. So next I'm going to go over to the other side, and I picked like pink and purple for this one. And I actually chose like 2 purples and 2 pinks instead of blending the pink and the purple in together. So now I'm trying to really blend these out. But you can tell that these are the 6s, so you get a lot more lines on the paper than you did on the other side, and it looks a little bit more streaky. But I think it works on here because this is a butterfly, and butterflies have definite definition on their wings, so I don't think it looks inappropriate. Like it could belong there if you wanted it to. And then I'm going to do the pink here on the upside right here. And that one was a bold, and this one is not a bold. So now I'm combining the 10 with the 6, and you can see that it's a little bit more streaky above where you get those lines. But I still think it looks cool. You just have to know that's what it's going to look like if you're coloring it in. So if you want it to look super like nice and flawless, like no lines, then use the 10s. If you don't mind those lines, those 6s are going to get a little bit more lines than the 10s are going to be. And then those are my butterflies. So now I'm going to go in and I'm going to use some of the sparkles to put on top of the butterfly. And you want to make sure that you do these when it's not wet. You could do it when it's wet, but I think it's a little bit easier to do it when it's not wet. I'm going to go, I think this one was a little bit wet when I did it, but I think it's okay. But you just want to make sure it's not so completely wet. And this is how they turned out. What do you guys think? I love how the sparkles just like add a little bit of pizzazz to the page, and I think they look super cute, like that butterfly. I mean, butterflies don't have sparkles in real life, but in my coloring book they can. And I think I'm going to do that middle butterfly later. I'm going to do it like with a red, yellow, and an orange, and I think that'll look super cute. Next up, I'm going to do the Sakura. I got this from the Sakura booth. It's the cherry blossom, and my husband already told me that cherry blossoms are white. I know that, but we have it to color in, and I can color it in any color I want. So I'm trying to do a little bit of blending. Like I said, this is kind of like experimenting, and I'm trying to blend that red to that orange. I realized that the second color I put on was a little bit more pinkish, so it probably should have been at the top, and I smudged a little. But like I said, this is all a learning experience, and this was probably my least favorite petal. But we're going to go on to these other ones, and now that I have like kind of what I want the flower to look like, I can come in and just copy kind of what I did before, putting that orange on there. But so now I have that like kind of pinkish one under there, so I'm going to put the pink one back in here a little bit later, but you'll see that. So that way it kind of looks like the same petal that I had before. So when you're doing things like this, it's just fun to experiment, see what you like, get it down, and make it how you want it to look. So I'm going to do the next petal in here. So I've already done a few petals, but I followed that pattern that I had before. So I'm putting in that pink, then I'm putting the orange over it. So then we get like this orange pink undertone, but at least it's consistent throughout the flower, right? So I'm going to come back in with the yellow. I'm using a variety of tips here. So you'll see some of them look a little bit more like you can see the pen lines, especially with the red and some of these other colors that wouldn't be as much lines. And I will say that the 10s are a lot easier to color with than the 6s. Like the 6s, you really have to get in there and make sure it's everywhere. But like the 10s is so easy. They go on really quickly. So making sure that you get all the colors in 10s would probably be what I would prefer because I love coloring in them. Then I did a little different color in the middle, and then I'm trying, like that little splotch, I'm trying to make it better. But like I said, this is a practice one. I was just trying to make it, you know, like the best I can. So now I'm going to come in with a little bit of the gold shadows on the outer edge just to add a little bit of darkness up there. And I actually loved how that turned out, like with the darkness on the edge right there. So what do you guys think? Do you like, I know it's not white, it's not a cherry blossom.
What do you guys think? Are you guys going to pick up any of these? You want to pick up the box, or are you going to pick up some of the individual ones? Let me know. I hope you guys have a great day. We'll see you in the next video.